Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Gertrude Matje here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And I would like to first of all acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today. This is just an acknowledgement I give because I'm based here in Melbourne and so grateful that I am in this beautiful country, being able to broadcast these amazing stories from some of the most phenomenal women on the planet. So I have a very interesting guest today. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Monica C. Guidry. I am 43 years old, based out of the United States of America in Columbus, Ohio specifically. And this is my story. So as you know, I'm 43 years old. I have three children, and I've been married for 21 years. The children that I have, I was told that I would never be able to have because for the longest time as a child, when I started puberty and had menstrual cycles, I would bleed for an extended amount of time and no one really knew why. But it landed me in the hospital a few times, and I ended up having to have multiple blood transfusions and iron transfusions and different things like that. But no one really figured out what was going on. I was just told that I would never be able to have children. And growing up, when you're a teen, you don't really think about things like that. You just kind of are, you cross that bridge, I guess, when you get there. But I ended up getting married and to the love of my life. And I ended up still having those issues. And because I'm a woman of faith, I believed, even though doctors told me that I would never have children, that I would. So we decided to start infertility treatments because the traditional way wasn't working when we got married. And to no avail, nothing was happening, nothing was working. We tried several rounds of a specific drug that would help with infertility, but it just didn't work. And meanwhile, as I'm trying to get pregnant, my husband, who had a son from a previous relationship, came to move with us. So I'm 21 years old, raising an 8-year-old, and doing my best as a parent, not having any problems as a step parent. Nothing like that ever happened. But in the midst of that, raising him, trying to conceive my own children. Finally, my hematologist, when I was 26 years old, told me, said, "Hey, kiddo, you're doing a lot of bleeding, honey, and you're gonna stroke out. You're gonna have a heart attack. You're gonna die. When are you gonna go ahead and just get a hysterectomy?" And I sat there in the office at 26 years old with a decision to make, and that was, would I, you know, improve the quality of my life and have this hysterectomy, or would I still believe to be able to have children? And I decided, you know what? I believe God, and I'm going to not have this hysterectomy, and I'm going to continue to try. Many years passed, many years. And when I mean many years, almost a decade passed. And I went through multiple infertility treatments, namely artificial insemination. And the first round, I produced multiple eggs, meaning like 10 eggs that were able to be fertilized, but they canceled the round so that I didn't have to decide to keep children or to terminate them. The second time, I had 6 eggs, and we went ahead with that round of infertility treatments, and nothing happened. And I decided to just stop. I gave up everything. I just decided, if this is going to happen for me, it's going to happen, but it's not happening now. I am proud to say that after 8 years of trying, we did conceive our first son, Warren. And then after that, we had multiples, which is actually I have a toddler who came when I was 40 years old, unexpected. I thought my life was pretty much going in I was firing on all cylinders, and I ended up getting pregnant, and then I didn't really know what to do with my life. And it's funny how, you want children, and you desperately want them, and you have all these plans and ideas of what's going to happen when you have them. And then when you have another one, that's, I can call him an overflow of blessing, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, this wasn't a part of the plan. This was totally outside of something that I was expecting. So I had to rewrite my story. I had to rewrite my plans. And I don't know if you're out there and if you're a believer or not, but our plans aren't our plans. God has better plans for us. And so I had to figure out what that was. And I firmly believe that he is the reason why I am the woman that I am today, which is a person that is going through a tremendous amount of healing in regards to overcoming rejection. And that's one of the things that I love to share about with people, and with women specifically, especially mothers and wives and people who lost a sense of themselves by way of those titles. And I'm one of those people that comes boldly to say that, although things on the outside may look put together, there are things on the inside of all of us that people can't see. The hidden torments, the hidden things that, that keep us up at night, or that keeps us away from achieving the ultimate goals that we have to just live a life of abundance and joy. And so when I speak about rejection and just overcoming those things, I always say that it's a work in progress. When you're healing, you have your surgery, right? When you need to have a surgery, you have a surgery, and then after surgery, you go through what's called physical therapy. And physical therapy can be just as painful as actually, the surgery itself. And so I'm in physical therapy and going through these different exercises mentally and emotionally to help me overcome these things and these triggers that when they come up, you're like, oh, I still have an area that I need to deal with. Oh, there's something else that needs to be worked out. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a painful thing, but it's a beautiful thing. So that's just another part of my story. When I was asked to do this, I was extremely grateful because it gives me the opportunities to shed light on different aspects of my life. And so not only am I healing and overcoming rejection, and I'm able to share that, I'm also able to share the parts of my life where, yes, I've been married for 21 years and it's been a beautiful journey. But there was a time in my marriage where things were crumbling, where there was a point of my marriage where we were going to go through a divorce, where we had divorce papers signed and notarized on my fireplace mantle, and we were going to walk away from each other. And we decided that we were a team and that we were going to stick it out and stay, and not for our children, not for our friends that expected us to stay, but we decided to stay for each other. And that happened. That was like, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, and here we are 21 years married, and it's a beautiful journey. But what I would love to do with people is to shed light on, though you may be going through the darkest times of your life, that there is light and beauty at the end of the tunnel, and that there is hope, and that there's purpose in your pain, and that no matter what you're walking through, that you can overcome it. I know that it seems like it's bleak and it's dark and that it'll never happen, but my life is an ultimate testimony, or an ultimate expression that it is possible, that things are possible, that your dreams are possible. And although you may be older, like myself, and you may have like to pivot a little bit, even in your pivoting, you're in the right step of your direction in your dreams and your goals in life. I have always had an aspiration of speaking and sharing and having a platform to spread hope and to spread love and to spread inspiration. And I've been fortunate to be able to do that on different platforms. I have my own podcast called Whole Heart with Monica C. Guidry, and I get to display stories of women who are just like me, who have overcome and share their tragedy to triumph stories. So I was able to create a platform myself from scratch, from nothing, and now being broadcast to countries, over 30 countries around the world. little old me without any guidance, without any help or anything like that. And it's exploded to the point where people want to listen to what I have to say. And I believe that people in all that is happening in this world, they just want to know that they're not alone. So that's my story. That's where I've come from. That's my heart. Just a little bit of it, because there's so many other things that have happened in my life that have just um, developed me into the woman that I am today. But I'm so fortunate and so grateful for the opportunity and the privilege to just share the little bit that my life contains.
Wow, what an incredible story, and just so inspirational. You know, what really strikes me about your story is your level of conviction.
Yeah.
A lot of people trust the experts. We're told a certain diagnosis, we believe it.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you have restricted your own future by buying into somebody
Yeah.
else's belief system. So, what was it that gave you that conviction? There must have been something in you that told you that this diagnosis isn't right. There
Of
could
course.
be a woman right now who's listening,
Mhm.
is confused, has been told she needs a hysterectomy. What
Yeah.
was it that made you hold on to that faith?
Well, for me, it's just my relationship that I have with Jesus. It's just the knowing that I know for sure that healing is belongs to me, right? It belongs to all of us, actually. Whether you're a believer or not, it belongs to you. So it was just something on the inside of me that just knew without a shadow of a doubt, even though everything else pointed to what the doctors were saying, it was one thing I just knew, like, I'm going to go with what my gut says.
And it's all about trusting your gut, just having that feeling, knowing it's correct, and just defying everything that the so-called professionals tell you, right?
Yeah, it really is. It's just a strong knowing. And it's like it's one of those things that overcomes you. It's like when you're asking, well, what exactly does that feel like? And it's just like, when you're about to do something that is super scary, but it's like something is like, go for it anyway. It's that same kind of drive that it's like a no matter what, I've got to do this thing. That's the feeling that it feels like.
I love that because I always find it difficult to explain my intuition. I'm a very intuitive person, and I have done some of the craziest things on the planet. And people say to me, but how did you know? And for me, I get a certain kind of energy around a project or
Mhm.
whatever it is I'm doing, and I can't sleep. I'm online until weird times of the day. And I just know I'm on the right track. I just know that the road is in front of me. And
Yeah.
I just have to keep taking one step at a time. And then when it's done, you look back, like you look at your life now,
Mhm.
and people think, how does she do that?
Right.
One day at a time and one step at a time, too,
All
right?
That's all it takes. Just one step in the right direction. And it's with anything, right? It's like, people who might deal with anxiety or depression or different things like that. And I don't know why I'm talking about this, but maybe when somebody out there is dealing with it. But it's like one day at a time. Maybe today it's, just getting out of bed, right? Give yourself credit for the little that you've done. I don't think we celebrate each other's ourselves enough, the small steps that we do enough. And I think when we do that, it encourages the other step and then the other step and then the other step.
Yeah. And one thing that you said that's really pivotal, like I have a policy, and I used to make my kids do this every single day, that no matter how low you're feeling, no matter what's going on in your life, the first chore for the day, and this is what my mother used to do, was to make your bed.
Yes.
So if you're in that low point and you manage to just wake up and
Mm,
make your bed, pat yourself on the shoulder for that.
yeah.
That's one tick on your to-do list of things to do for the day.
Yeah.
Just make your bed and get out of bed. So I just love this conversation because these are the conversations that really light me up. I know that there are a lot of people who are struggling with all kinds of issues in their lives. Right now, we're stuck in the middle of a pandemic. There's so much uncertainty for the future.
Yeah.
So let's have a little thought experiment.
Okay, I like that.
And let's imagine that time is
Mhm.
an illusion.
Mm, okay.
Past, your present, and your future exist on the same timeline. And
Mhm.
I'm going to take you back to that younger you, that young woman who knew she was born to be a mother.
Okay.
If you could have a conversation with her and give her three nuggets of wisdom about life,
Mhm.
based on what life has taught you, what would you say to her?
3 nuggets. Oh, wow. Don't take yourself so serious. Have fun. Enjoy the smallest things. Celebrate yourself. This is so I don't know if I could just do 3. There's so many things. You know, and just because you think that a person doesn't like you because they didn't smile or have a good, say hello, it doesn't mean that it has anything to do with you. It could just be that they're going through their own personal storm. You give them your smile.
I love that. I absolutely love it. So now let me teleport you into the future.
Okay.
You're now 120 years old. We know that with science, we're going to live for a very long time, right? And you can sit on your rocking chair surrounded by your children and your great grandchildren, and you could have a conversation with this wise woman.
Hmm.
What would you say to her?
What would I say to this wise woman? Um, okay, so let me get this straight. So let me make sure that I'm answering this right. Am I the woman that I'm asking questions to?
So you're asking the future you,
Asking the future me questions. Oh boy.
or you're talking to her. What would you say to her based on how you're living your life right now?
Based on how I'm living my life right now. Wow. I probably wouldn't ask anything. I would probably just do a little bit more listening, just at the feet and just, whatever it is that's being said, absorbing it, because what I'm finding is I can do a lot of talking and not enough listening. And it's the listening that is the the parts where we learn the most. So I don't know if I answered that right or good enough, but I think that's what I would do.
That's a really good answer. So I have a thing. I do believe time doesn't exist.
Uh-huh.
I do believe everything I'm trying to create in my life is already out there, just waiting for me to catch up with it.
Uh-huh.
So when I struggle with certain things, I go into my meditation and my prayers, and I tune into that wise woman who is me. And I
Mm.
ask her for advice. I ask her, what is my next step? What am I supposed to do now? And because she's already there in the future, she guides me along the way. And
Wow.
what happens for me is I sometimes wake up, if there's something I'm trying to figure out and I'm having a conversation with someone, and it's like the people who come into my path on that day have the answers. So I just start telling anybody I meet that this is what I'm working on and I don't know what to do. And then one person will say something, then the next one will say something. And then before I know it, by the end of the day, I have the answer. Or
Wow.
the answers percolate through my dreams. So I
That
have the most real
is
dreams. My wisdom comes through my dreams, sometimes through my grandmother.
uh-huh.
And she shows up and she will say the most cryptic messages that make no sense at 2 o'clock in the morning. But when I wake up, I know exactly what my next step is supposed to be.
That is incredible. You know what's funny? I had an experience the other night. I was dealing with something, as I alluded to, I'm recovering rejection and abandonment issues and different things like that from just stuff that happened in my childhood. And I've been dealing with every now and again I'll have to disassociate what's truth and what's a lie, right? What's true, what's a lie. And I can do that my own self. But this particular night, I really felt like that I had an encounter I call Holy Spirit, right? Um, and it was literally like he was sitting on my bed and showing me truths and lies, what were truth. It was almost like the Matrix. Like the lies were being decoded. It was like it was the most incredible experience that I've ever had in my life. It was like every lie was being decrypted, or I don't know, decoded. And I just started getting all these answers, and all these things, these questions that I've had for forever just started being answered. And it was just like I woke up the next day and I totally felt like a new person. It was I have never had an experience like this in my life. And you're the first person that I've shared this with. I haven't even shared this with my friends yet. So this is exclusive.
I love it. I got an exclusive. Yeah, but it's true, right?
It
Whether we
is.
call it God, spirit, our higher self, we are guided.
We do have a
And
guide. That's right. We do. We do have a guide.
yeah, yeah, I tell people I've had a spirit-led life because
Hmm.
I never bump into the wrong people. Or if I do, it's for a brief moment. I find out very quickly that, okay, this doesn't feel right. And I distance myself from them and I move on to better and bigger things. So this is a very interesting and juicy conversation for
It
me
is.
because I sometimes feel I'm a little bit crazy with the stuff that happens to me,
You
but
know, we all have a little
it's
crazy.
magical. It
We
is
all have there's
magical.
there's a little crazy in us all. I say that. You did say something about people that you bump into. You've never bumped into the wrong person. I like to say it like this: even if I ever have, call them our enemies, people that don't necessarily have our best interest in mind. I feel that even they serve a purpose, right? So I'm not so quick like I used to get necessarily get them out of my life. I feel that they are necessary for my purpose in life. I need the good and the bad, right? And because it's all growing me and it's all making me into the person that I am becoming. So instead of, trying to do what I need to do to kind of get them out or away from me or whatever, it's kind of like, okay, you're a fixture. You're just you're an accessory right now, and I'm going to use you as an accessory in order for me to get to my expected purpose.
Oh, I love that. I really like that. I had a friend who said to me when I started creating my movement, she said, Gertrude, with every bump in the road, every hurdle, look at it this way. Don't jump over those rocks,
Hmm.
turn them over. There is something underneath every hurdle, every rock. There's a gift in everything that is going wrong. So take time to examine what that is. And you're right, they're there for a reason to make you stronger, to show you your blind spots, whatever it is, there is something good that's going to come out of it.
Yes.
Yeah, my grandmother used to say every day comes with a blessing or a teaching. The good things are your blessings, the bad things are just the lessons.
That's so good. Your grandmother was very wise.
She was a wise woman. She really was. Now, you touched on another subject that I'm very passionate about talking. You almost got divorced and you didn't.
Yeah. Mhm.
Now, I went through a divorce 4 years ago.
Okay.
I was married for 27 years, 31-year marriage, and my life collapsed.
Yeah.
And I often think, could I have done things differently
Right.
to save my marriage? Tell me what it is that you and your husband did to bring you to 21 years when you almost thought it was over.
Um, when I almost thought it was over. Can you hear me? I don't know. I had to mute it real quick. Um, when I almost thought it was over, when we both almost thought it was over, uh, it was one of those things where I'll never tell somebody that you should not get a divorce or, anything like that. I don't ever want um, to say that to someone because everyone's life and journey is different. But for me, I just felt like we were losing everything. This was a period of our lives, and I didn't share this part, but there were a period of our lives where we just started giving up, and we were losing our house, we were losing our cars, we were losing jobs and different things like that. We were not stable in any area of our lives. And we looked at each other and said, we're either going to sink or swim alone, or we're going to sink or swim together. And that was the decision that we both made. Like, we're going to go through this storm together.
And that saved your marriage.
It really did. Losing everything saved it.
That's
Losing
just amazing.
saved it.
Wow. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. This has been a very interesting interview. My last question is there anything I should have asked you and didn't?
Anything that you should have asked me and didn't. See, I'm a processor, so that's hard. When I get off here, I'm going to probably email you like, we should have talked about.
Or maybe let's just say, what is your parting thoughts?
Oh,
Take the
man.
pressure off.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, my parting thoughts will be, you're not alone. We're in a pandemic right now, and I just feel like that there are a lot of people out there that are just kind of, just trying to make it through one day at a time. And I just want you to know that you are not alone in this world. And if you feel like that you are, there's one person that you can call and count on. And if you only got that one person, reach out to them, because you need to know that you don't have to go through this life and do life alone.
Fantastic. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
gracing us with your presence today, sharing your nuggets of wisdom. And thank you to everybody who tuned in around the world. Have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are. And Monica, don't go away. I need to talk to you before you go.
Okay.
Bye for now, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.